The Biden administration this week named the first 10 drugs that will soon be subject to price negotiations with Medicare. That means the cost of these commonly prescribed but expensive drugs could get lower. Good for patients, but not so good for pharmaceutical companies who say that forcing them to cut prices could stifle important research and reduce the number of new drugs and cures. We're joined now by Representative Buddy Carter, Republican of Georgia. Congressman Carter, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so at face value, this seems great for people who are on Medicare, but you say it's actually one of the worst pieces of legislation that you've ever seen. You're in a unique position here because you actually are a pharmacist by trade and a member of Congress. So what are your concerns here?
Well, again, I do think it's one of the most egregious pieces of legislation that I've seen since I've been a member of Congress in 8.5 years. And really my experience as a pharmacist, I have seen nothing short of miracles as a result of research and development. I can remember when I started practicing back in 1980, if you were diagnosed with hepatitis C, you were going to die. Now we can cure it with a pill. That's phenomenal. That's the kind of research and development that we've witnessed over the years. What this legislation will do, the prescription drug portion of the Inflation Reduction Act, it will destroy research and development. It will crush it, and we can ill afford that. The University of Chicago said that this legislation will result in 342 fewer cures coming to market in the next 20 years. Now, what's that going to be the cure for? Is it going to be the cure for Alzheimer's? Is it going to be the cure for ALS or for diabetes? We don't know. But what we do know is that we can ill afford to let this happen. Even the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, the nonpartisan economists that judge bills, they've said that it's going to result in at least 15 fewer cures coming to market in the next 10 years. Already, we've had drug manufacturers who have withdrawn clinical trials because even when they're at the second stage, because they know they're not going to be able to get this drug onto the market because of this rule. So it really is just an awful, awful piece of legislation.
Let me ask you this, Congressman, because I've also heard you say in other interviews that pharmaceutical companies actually do need to do a better job with their pricing, or they could do a better job. How do you persuade them to do that without legislating the change?
Well, first of all, you're right. Pharmaceutical manufacturers do need to do a better job with their pricing. But the real problem is not the manufacturers. The real problem are the middlemen. The real problem are the pharmacy benefit managers, which are owned by the insurance companies, which bring no value whatsoever to the healthcare system. But they are the ones that are capturing most of the profit as it comes into the marketplace. There was a study done. It's a little aged now, but it was done about March of 2022 by the Berkeley Research Group out in California. And it showed that only 37% of the price of a pharmaceutical goes to the pharmaceutical manufacturer. So where does the other 63% go? It goes to the middleman. The middleman, the pharmacy benefit managers, the PBMs, that is owned by the insurance company, that owns the PBM, that owns the buying group, that owns the pharmacy, that owns the doctors. In a lot of cases, that's the vertical integration that exists in the drug pricing change that needs to be busted up. That's the way we're going to lower prescription drug cost.
Wow, and it's important to call that out because most people wouldn't realize that at the end of the day, and you as a pharmacist do. Let me ask you this, Congressman, before we go, because I do want to ask you, your district has been affected by Hurricane Idalia. How are your constituents doing? How is everyone there?
Well, we're doing great, and thank you for asking. We were very fortunate. I always say that I'd rather be lucky than good. Well, in this case, we're lucky and good. We were lucky because the storm, by the time it got to us, was not as intense as we had anticipated. We were good because our emergency management agencies are good. They are prepared, and they helped us to be prepared. They are professionals, and we just appreciate their work so much. Our thoughts and prayers are with those in Florida who took the brunt of this hit with the hurricane. I spoke to my colleague, Dr. Neil Dunn, in Florida earlier today and relayed our thoughts and prayers to everyone who's impacted there. But overall, we did pretty well here in the coastal region of Georgia.
We're glad to hear that you are doing all right, and our hearts are prayers with all those who were severely affected as well. Congressman Buddy Carter, always good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.